Hi, Virgo Sun and Rising. Welcome to your January 2022 Astro Update. It's Raina here. This is really something else. I know we're starting a new year, but I've been doing a few of these, and the amount of energy that ends up in Capricorn is like, wow, off the charts. And some of it is retrograde activity. So things from the past can come up. And for you, this is occurring in the fifth house of romance and creativity. So it's really emphasized as we begin the new year. And oh, yeah, and then of course the sun is in Capricorn. And another thing to mention is that Virgo is so compatible with Capricorn, both being earth signs. So it forms a trine. Now, all of these things that I'm saying are general. In other words, you have to look at your exact chart to see where your fifth house begins, what aspects your sun may make to some of these other entities, and if this is your sun sign. So this is just meant to give like a basic overview, but it may not be, you may not experience it in the same way. But I mean, just as signs, these form trines, being of the earth element. And that means that manifestation is made that much easier. And just on a kind of a more basic level, you tend to find that when you're in that period, when the sun is in your same element, that you might feel um, kind of like a familiar type of feeling. So all earth energies resonate, in other words. So as we begin the year, we have a new moon on the 2nd of the month, and it's at 12 degrees of Capricorn. And so in the fifth house, I mean, this could be new creative projects. The fifth house can be the business that you own. Now, Venus is retrograde in this area. So, because this is love, this could be an ex coming into the picture. This could be rekindling an old flame. And because it can be dating, the fifth house, but it can also be love itself. And so, yes, I mean, it's entirely possible that you can rekindle love with your spouse. And, in December, Neptune went direct in your opposite sign of Pisces. That's in your seventh house. So that might be a situation where something that felt disillusioning with your partner, you forgave them, or you were able to, well, and maybe that's in conjunction with forgiveness, you were able to put that into perspective so that you were not holding on to a grudge or something like that. And that can feel very liberating, I think. That can feel like there's a weight lifted off your shoulders because you're not holding on to something. So this is great energy for new creative projects. And this is also, oh yeah, the best part about the fifth house, I think, in a way, is that it's about pleasure. It's about fun. So maybe in like hobbies can qualify. So maybe you're starting a new hobby that really brings you a lot of joy. This can be a house full of joy. On the same day, Mercury goes into Aquarius, and that is your sixth house, and that is much more business-like or seriously involved with the day-to-day activities that are practical. Actually, this is the house that you rule. Virgo, and your ruler is Mercury. So Mercury rules that sixth house, and it's in its own house. This may be something to do with diet. It is the new year, and so you might be reading material on what you want to do to improve your health. And maybe even like constructing a like some kind of way to organize your time in a way that feels more productive. I don't know if there is such a thing for a Virgo, but maybe. Maybe there's something you can always do. On the 14th, in this same area, Mercury goes retrograde. So I sometimes say to Gemini people, maybe I say that to Virgo, like, how do you feel during Mercury retrogrades? Does it feel like business as usual, or does it hit you twice as hard? This is at 10 degrees of Aquarius. And so anything that is connected to work endeavors may either not go as planned, there might be a snafu here and there, or you're rethinking things. Maybe you're rethinking your schedule. You tend to be a morning person, but you work a lot of times doing the bulk of your work in the afternoon. Sometimes when I say these things, it feels like weird because it's like there are a lot of people that are still on the 9 to 5 paradigm, or whatever you want to call it, trip. And so they don't understand what it means to rearrange schedules because their schedule is already laid out for them. But even with those types of jobs, you have before work and you have after work. And those can be very important times because, especially if you are not that crazy about what you're doing, and if you even want to work for yourself and not have the having to, conform to a particular time frame, it's still, it's even more crucial that you are able to make the most out of those hours. And so figuring things out is very valuable, and thinking about it, being very deliberate about what it is, how you spend your time, and how you could do it differently. But it's another thing that can happen is that if you are looking for work and you are, sending in a resume or an application, there might be some kind of misplacement of it. So, give it time, and then maybe a month from now, if you haven't heard from them, you can check back or what have you when Mercury goes direct and things like that. The bottom line is not to just assume that something isn't yours because of that. Who knows? Maybe you'll even hear from some place that you applied and you thought was impossible. That they had picked somebody else. Maybe they did, but then they found your information and they need someone now. So, okay, so that's happening. And then on the 17th, there's a full moon at 27 degrees of Cancer. This is not fellow water sign, but this is water energy. It forms a sextile to you, which is a friendly angle, and it's coming from the 11th house. So you might have a dream of yours manifest. One of your hopes or wishes come to fruition. This can be friendship that has run its course, or finding out something about a friend. Maybe you haven't been in contact with somebody and you find out why. On the 18th, Uranus goes direct at 10 degrees of Taurus. And this, by the way, I mean, we have the Mercury retrograde at 10 degrees of Aquarius and 10 degrees of Taurus. This is a perfect square. And so at that time of the Mercury retrograde, Uranus was squaring from, it's interesting, from your, let's see, I guess ninth house. So you have Uranus in your ninth house and the Mercury retrograde in the sixth house. So for some of you, if this has something to do with school, either work or school, because the ninth house can be university. So when I'm saying school, I'm really talking about college, university, and travel, like long distance travel. So maybe you were wanting to if you work someplace, you wanted to transfer out of, overseas, or they offered you a job overseas. Something is, there's some tension with this situation. Now Uranus has gone direct in this ninth house. I think that could be good for moving forward in this situation. Now, it's possible that it doesn't get itself sorted out until next month because Mercury comes out of its shadow later in February. And so there still might be things that need to be figured out here. But let me just mention Uranus in the ninth house. Is that, Uranus can be about technology and the ninth house can be long distance travel. So any Virgo person who is a digital nomad or wants to become one, especially, this time period, and I think Uranus will be here for several more years, can be a time when you really get to do just that. Another thing, too, is studying online. So doing college online, teaching college online. That might be something that some of you are doing. And again, that is a type of work, so that fits into the work side of things. But even like studying or experiencing material that is very ahead of its time or far out, that is connected to spiritual matters. So galactic information is a big one because it's kind of Star Trek-y. If you've ever listened to somebody, science fiction-y, if you've ever listened to these people that channel the Galactic Federation, I don't understand, 3/4 of it, but I can sit there and it's like real science. It's like science nonfiction. And that's what makes me like it more, because I feel like, hey, this could really happen. It's not just some completely fabricated thing. Okay, on the 19th, the sun goes into Aquarius. So the sun is in the sixth house. Very comfortable for you because it's like the sun in Virgo. So all that Virgo stuff, all that organizing, all that getting down to brass tacks after having all your fun. But this is fun for you, so it's not like you're going to go kicking and screaming. On the 24th, Mars goes into Capricorn, and there you have it. We're going to have all of this stuff happening in that fifth house, and Mars in the fifth house is very sporty, so physical, like competitive sports, And, obviously you can be going to these kinds of games, but participating in them as well, or just, getting more active in something, maybe choosing a sport as a way of getting fit or improving your health. This can also be like hot and heavy romance that has like a real hubba hubba kind of physical passion attached to it. On the 25th, Mercury goes into Capricorn. Oh, gee. So let's review here. We have, well, the sun was in Capricorn, so it's not there anymore, but there was a new moon there. And you have Venus there. You have all this, and Pluto is there. Also, yeah, that's enough. That's a lot, and these are personal planets too. That is very important because they're more connected to us on a daily level, and so Mercury in this fifth house. If you're a writer, this is great for that. I was going to say Mars in the fifth house can be somebody who's really driven to create works of art. And Mercury here can be like anything to do with writing, creative writing. And if you are starting a business or you're getting it off the ground, like you're starting to develop it, Mars can make you gung-ho, and Mercury can have you thinking about the logistics of it. You could be talking to... This is Mercury is retrograde in this house. I should emphasize that. It was started off in Aquarius and it's back in Capricorn. So Mercury, in addition to Venus, could be hearing from somebody from your past. In the fifth house, it could be an ex-love. Maybe you're talking to this person. And on the 29th, Venus goes direct at 11 degrees of Capricorn, and it will take until early March to come out of her shadow. So there still is, the dust is going to still settle in whatever it is that happened. For those who are artists, you may be reworking a project and taking it in a different direction. That's another thing, with both of these. It's thinking about, like if somebody's writing a novel, they may scrap a whole section of it and go in a different direction. And Venus direct can give you more of a vision of how you want to proceed. Also with love matters, they say that when Venus is retrograde, that you might be under this spell where you think everything is lovely, and it's really that you're kind of like in this illusion. There's like this sense of beauty that you see before you, but it might not be what's really happening. And yeah, that's a possibility, but I don't think it has to be a done deal. I think that you can resolve something in your love life and know in your heart right away, whether or not this is something that you want to invest more time in. But I would just say, don't be surprised if you hear back from somebody. I mean, this could have already happened to some of you. Of course, I'm recording this. Well, I shouldn't say of course, but for those of you who are listening, before December 19th, the Venus retrograde hasn't happened. So I'm kind of letting people know about that. So anyway, that's what I have for you, Virgo. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a personal reading, I am promoting my double readings called Deep Dive, which are at a special price for 2 full-length readings, an hour of natal chart interpretation and an hour of transits for the upcoming 12 months. You can find out more information about that reading and my other readings at the link below. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. Take care. Bye.